You know, I don't think there's any doubt, Misha, we still have a crisis, and it's not getting any better. And there's a lot of things in this report that troubles me. I think one of the main things that troubles me is this paragraph here that talks about the increase in foster care is due largely to two factors: DCFS removing children immediately upon investigation, and the courts ordering removals against the recommendations of DCFS. What this sounds like to me is you've got these investigators, these special investigators, that are practicing outside their scope of practice in order to pacify the local courts. Is that true? Would you agree with that?
So, you know, I think you're referencing the Wendy Zeller report, correct?
Correct.
Okay. They did talk about, you know, court removals. They did look at, they looked at 2 periods of time. You know, since I came in the door, we have done a substantial amount of work with the judges. Kisa mentioned meeting with the judges. I have not seen, or continue to see judges removing kids when we disagree. Now, I may be wrong, they may just not have come to my level, but we were hearing that more frequently and have not seen that. We have a lot of work on our end to build trust with judges, and we're still working on that. And I absolutely agree with your statement that we're still in crisis, and this is a process of getting better. And we do have to train our staff to do better as far as family engagement and not see themselves as law enforcement, which is what HCA said.
But who's better qualified to make that recommendation on whether to remove these children? The worker or a court?
And I can't
or some individual who's pretending to be a law enforcement when they have no authority?
So I can't answer that question directly because we have judges who are juvenile judges who have years of experience working in the child welfare system. And
years of experience. Those years of experience have led to a crisis in this state. Would you agree to that?
I'm not sure we can blame our system completely on the judges.
What would you say is the #1 factor that has led to the increase of foster care children in the state? What would you say is the #1 reason?
So that's kind of where we came with this whole war room and with the HCA report, is there's not one thing that we can blame. It is a combination. I mean, we have spent hours, we have looked at data. There is not one place that we can pinpoint and say, here is our problem, let's go fix it. I wish we could. I mean, I do. It would make my job a whole lot easier if I could say, even if I could say it was 3 things. If I could say it was 3 things, and these 3 things are the cause, and let's just go fix those 3 things. But it has really been a combination of issues. And one thing that I haven't touched on today, and that HCA just barely touches on just because they did a study based on 2 time periods and compared. But if you do a 10-year historic look at entries and exits from foster care, there is not a substantial increase. In fact, there's not an increase in the number of children who are coming into foster care. If you look at the 10 years, and I believe we provided that data, if not, we can get that to you. We have not exited children at the same rate. So it's not just about removal decisions, it's also on, are we getting families the services they need? Are caseworkers, because of caseloads, able to work the cases the way they need to so that we can exit children from foster care? And I would say to you, no, with caseloads as high as they are, and with the lack of services in many rural areas, we are not able to wrap around those families and get children out of foster care as quickly.